Happy Thursday, everyone. I appreciate you joining us today, especially to talk about finances. And not to worry, like Lois said, I make finances fun. So grab the link that Lois is dropping in either now or come back later. If you're not grabbing the worksheet, just grab a piece of paper. It was just an easier way for you to take notes. So sometimes talking about money can be a little bit boring and just something that our society has a little taboo around. You know, you're not supposed to talk about sex, religion, politics, and a lot of us grew up being taught you're not supposed to talk about money. So I'm happy to be here today to share some great principles with you. But first, let me tell you just a little bit about myself. And to keep the time to give you the most nuggets, I'm just going to give you a high overlight. Make sure we connect later. You can talk to me more about my story and yours. We get to know each other. So in my first career, I became successful in leading, training, and managing in the corporate role. By the time I was 24 years old, I was a district manager, and I was also doing accounting for our family business. And somewhere along the way, I became lost, as many of us do. We're busy juggling work, our family, school, and in my case, figuring out how to raise a special needs child as a married single mom. We can talk more about that another day. In 2011, I finally found my home. I found a family, the one that I didn't know I was missing and needed. Yes, they taught people about money, and they showed me another version of family. And after several years of professional and personal growth, I was able to find myself again and step into my passion. And now I get to help others do the same. About a year after I got divorced, I met the love of my life. I must say I picked far better the second time around. And I was able to do so because I had a different model of family and I had healed those old wounds. So after 3 years post-divorce, I was making six-figure income. So very different from rolling change and take a calculator and list to the grocery stores from my previous chapters of life. And ask me more about that later. I was making six-figure income, traveling to all paid five-star expense reward trips, leadership retreats. And the agency that I am building under the Five Rings family is Anchor Financial for two reasons. First, I specialize in safe money strategies. We offer security, safety, peace of mind, and hope. And my hubby is a retired naval officer. So there you go, tying the anchor in together. So I'm really excited that I have the opportunity to help others take control of their finances so that they will not feel stuck in any situation because they feel lost around money. To encourage people to take charge of their money mindset, rewrite old stories that are not serving them. And I'm passionate about empowering and educating small business owners, families, and like successful singles, corporate employees about how money works, so they can have financial freedom. Well, speaking about education, it amazes me how we have a major lack of education around money. Although principles stay the same, you know, vehicles can change. We're just going to stick to the principles today. So some of you might remember, we used to have this three-legged stool. Our grandparents, maybe some of your parents, depending on which generation you're in, they had a pension, Social Security, and they had additional savings on top of that. Today, entrepreneurs, especially if you're young, have only one of these to count on, and that's what you can save and invest yourself. So put down in the chat if you think you're going to retire by age 65 or 70. I bet it's like one or two maybe. And what about maybe if you're going to retire someday? Drop that in the chat as well. There might be about half of you, and the other half thinks, well, I'm just going to work the rest of my life, like I used to think. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs, you're pursuing what you love. So why would you want to quit that? Am I right? Well, before we dive into the 6 steps to anchor your financial freedom, I want to give you a few statistics. And if you have the worksheet, half the work is written in. If not, try to jot them down or come back later with the worksheet. Did you know 73% of Americans say money is the #1 stress, a cause of stress in their lives? 60% of small business owners have not consulted a financial advisor or financial strategist or coach or any of the above. Does that surprise you? Did you know 30% of small business owners have not taken the time to estimate what they are going to need in savings to comfortably retire? 30%, they just have no clue. They're going along trying to figure it out as they go, or just not thinking about it at all. And a really scary one is less than 1/3 of small business owners have a financial plan for what their income and expenses will be in retirement. I think that speaks to the fact that small business owners and entrepreneurs just think that they're never going to retire. So we really need to redefine retirement, and we'll come back to that in a couple minutes. But for those of you who do have a 401k or an IRA, did you know the average self-directed retirement plan only lasts 6 to 7 years? So let me ask you a question. When will you stop needing money? It's when you take that dirt nap. Okay, then if you retire at, say, age 67 or 70, and now you're expected to live into your 90s, how are you going to come up with 25 years of paychecks? That lack of planning is why 70% of Americans live the last 10 years in poverty. I like to throw out what Ben Franklin says here. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. That is also why 45% of baby boomers consider themselves entrepreneurs. They are trying to figure out how to make up for the lack of planning for retirement, especially with taxes and inflation. So we have this huge gap that didn't used to exist in retirement planning. And 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. Is that scary, or is that scary? One of the reasons is we aren't emotionally tied to retirement. Too many of us think we're never going to retire, so why should we care about savings? So I'm going to ask you to imagine, what does retirement look like for you? If it's not 7 years in a rocking chair before you go, what is it? I think that's something most of us small business owners, entrepreneurs don't really give ourselves permission to dream about. So there's a spot on your worksheet what says, what is your new definition of retirement? And I invite you to spend some time later to go think about what are those golden years? What is it you really want? In having conversations with my clients, especially small business owners, most agree that it centers around flexibility, financial freedom, and time freedom. So take some time, give yourself permission to really dream about what that looks like. Having this vision makes it easier to create a financial plan that will support your lifestyle. And it certainly makes the day-to-day choices of spending and saving easier when you have that vision to look forward to. All right. Are we ready for the 6 steps to anchoring your financial freedom? If you know what direction you're heading and you know your path, it can be a lot easier to navigate when you have a crash or some mistakes and things go wrong in life, and easier to make course corrections along the way. So the first A in anchor is aft or astern. Take an aft look from time to time. Take a time to look back at your life and your business and what's happened. Where are you at now? Sadly, too many small business owners don't take time to look at their financial statements. It's really important to say, okay, what happened last year? What did last month look like? And if you haven't been paying attention to your financial statements, just take a look at last year and say, how did I do? Pull some basic figures that you are going to start tracking and setting goals around. And on the handout, there are some tips, some questions that you can go over with your accountant and CPA. So that's your bonus for later. And the same goes for retirement accounts. I know sometimes when people haven't been paying attention to their 401ks or IRAs, they say, just let's look at the last statement, figure out where you are now and where you want to go from there. And business owners, please learn how to read your profit and loss statements. You don't have to be a bookkeeping genius or track the numbers. You can source that out. Understand what is going on and how to read those reports. And you have to focus on your personal finances as well. Treat your business as a separate entity that it is. Keep your business financials separate from your household finances. Not doing this is one of the biggest mistakes I see small business owners doing. So the second part of looking back is you must focus on how you feel about money. Okay, so sometimes the guys don't really get this one until we talk about that money soundtrack that's been developed. We were pre-programmed when we were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. It's what we heard our parents say and how we saw them behave around money. Maybe they said we can't afford that all the time, or there was a lacking. But take a moment and ask yourself, what do I really believe about money? You'll probably be surprised to see how much that influences your decision making. So ask yourself, do I like the message that's playing? If not, if it's a negative message or soundtracks or things that just pop up and you don't even realize, then it's time to rewrite those stories and to master your money mindset. Lois mentioned Wine, Women, and Wealth. That's one place where we can do that. We have some other places too, so connect with me later on that. So the N in anchor stands for navigate. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we forget to take time out to work on our business instead of just being in our business. And it's essential to know some things about what's going in and out. And yes, I am talking about a budget. It's not a 4-letter word. It's actually 6. A budget is simply a tool, although sometimes it's misconstrued as punishment. So if you are just taking a look back and smacking yourself over what happened, then you might as well not even have one. However, if it becomes a tool, then that is useful. And if the word budget makes you cringe, we get to rename it. Rename the word, rename the meaning that it stands for. How about a spending plan, or an abundance guide, or a map to my fabulous future? So if you think budget is something to look back on and punish yourself, let's rephrase and rename that. So a budget becomes a tool or a spending plan, and you know that once a month you want an extra pair of shoes, or maybe once a month you want an extra round of golf. You build it in, you simply plan for it. And if there's too much month at the end of your money, you can navigate by refinancing your finances. So knowing where your money is going and where you might make some adjustments, you can find money that is misappropriated, and now you've just figured out how to start your savings or your future spending plan. And that can really help free up your financial future and those dreams. So with that, we're going to move on to C, chart your course. This is my favorite part, because once you've created your definition of retirement, you've created a vision, and you get excited about achieving everything on your bucket list, then it's a little bit easier to stay on course that you have charted and figure out which direction you want to go. And it is imperative to know where you are saving your money. I used to think middle America was not saving. I learned I was wrong. A lot of people are saving. They maybe just are not doing it in the right place or the best place. So this is where we're going to start to master your money tree. There are 4 different types of money, and the best type of money in the whole world is free money. Yay! We all love free money. The most common way you'll get free money is a 401k match. Unfortunately, most of us don't get that free money if we're self-employed or entrepreneurs. Then you might be lucky enough maybe to get an inheritance. Maybe you'll win the lottery. Now, that's not very likely, right? Don't make that a plan. At any rate, free money is the top of the money tree. The second best is tax-free money. Tax-free money grows non-taxed or tax-deferred, and you take it all out tax-free. This is often a Roth IRA, or it could be a tax-free indexed account. It's important to understand the differences and how to leverage those benefits. Now you've got the third best in your money tree, that's tax-deferred. That gives us the write-offs this year, things like 401ks and IRAs, 403bs. The problem is we don't know what our tax rate will be when we want our money to play and travel. One of the biggest mistakes I see when I work with 50 and 60-year-olds that are starting to look towards retirement and planning is that all of their money is in this tax-deferred branch, especially if they're in the corporate world. So that's a conversation for another day. However, I will tell you, they are shocked by how they will be impacted on taxes. And then finally, there's a boring old taxable money, the money you give Uncle Sam when you make money this year. So this brings us to H for the helm. You are at the helm. Of course, you want a first-class crew, right? You want to figure out who your crew is going to be, but at the end of the day, you are in charge of your financial future. You are in the captain's seat here. So your financial crew is going to help you with your taxes, estate planning. Who else should you have on your financial team? People to help you plan for short and long-term financial goals, including buying a home, paying for children's education, funding retirement, and a financial consultant may provide investment, tax, and insurance advice. Did you know that people have a little uncertainty about how do I hire the right person? Well, ask people closest to you. And do remember, if you are looking to be successful in any area, whether it's your money or business, anything you're looking for mentors or help or advice for, remember you want to seek advice from somebody who is successful in that area. So if your friend is a financial mess, you probably don't want to ask them for resource or advice. Okay, next is overboard. This is sort of twofold. Sometimes we create a plan and we fall overboard. Oh no, we've hit a huge storm and there's a crash. What are you going to do? How do we get back on course? Who are you going to call? Who's in your corner? So it's important to plan rather than beat yourself up over the crash. So stay calm, course correct. And the second prong to overboard is if you have a poor performing crew, you can throw them overboard. Yeah, in other words, you can fire them if they're not supportive crew. If they're trying to tell you to do something that you don't feel is in alignment for your financial goals, you can fire them. Remember, you are in the captain's seat. So how many of us grew up loving roller coasters? I love roller coasters. We find that a lot of people think that the stock market roller coaster is just a little too scary these days for their money, or at least a portion of it. And they're just hungry for other options. Sadly, most people just don't know there are other options to get the upside potential of the market and never participate in the downside. So know your risk toleration, or risk tolerance. And I recommend setting up a foundation first. This sets me apart from 98% of any financial advisors that you will talk to. We know that you cannot afford to have your retirement dollars and your investment dollars in the same place. So it's just like building a house. If you're going to build a house tomorrow, where would you start? With a foundation. It's not exciting and sexy, but if you do not build it properly, your house will collapse. And it's the same with your financial house, your retirement money. If you fail to build the financial foundation first, your house may collapse just like it did for 71% of Americans in 2008. My clients enjoy looking for safe alternatives, and they want to know how to grow and protect their money without risk. So make sure that you have support in that and that you feel supported along your journey. Okay, finally, we are at R, rest, relax, and reward. Most small business owners forget to make time to enjoy their journey. When you go on a long cruise, don't you want to get off at every port and go sightsee and see all of the fun stuff to do? Well, it's no different in your business. This is a journey. Plan time to reflect, to relax, and recharge yourself. Plan for small rewards along the journey. So you have a big, huge goal. There's milestones to get to that goal. Celebrate each success along the way. So to summarize, take time to look at where you are now, where you want to go, and create a plan to support that journey. Know what's coming in and going out. Yes, that budget thing. And let's start to master your money tree, because you are in the captain's seat. So have you created a solid foundation? Stay calm, course correct. Let's get you on that track. And then rest, relax, and reward all the accomplishments on your journey. So I want to close with some action steps. Redefine, what does retirement look like for you? And answer those questions if you are a small business owner or entrepreneur that are in the worksheet, and go talk to somebody for support on that. I wish you a prosperous journey as you chart your course to success.